Hi, Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis again. My kids are still sleeping. I'm cooking beef ribs over here. I am making my third video for the day. Let's see if we can make this work. I hope we can. Does this count as multitasking? I don't know. But in any case, I want to talk to you a little bit about my Cattleya nobilior and Cattleya walkeriana growing techniques. I spoke to you in another video about Cattleya nobilior and mentioned that I would probably show you my growing conditions. And the growing conditions are not that much different than my other Cattleyas, except that it's a little brighter. I like to have these guys basically in full sun from the time the sun comes up until about now, which is about 2:15 in the afternoon on July 21st. As in the previous two videos that I just made moments ago, it's still about 100 degrees, and these guys love it. They do really well. Now, when I say full sun, I don't mean full sun with no shade. In fact, just the opposite. You can see that I've got 50% Illuminate shade cloth on top. So 50% of the shade is sort of reflected by the Illuminate. A lot of people would say that that's too bright. I don't find that to be the case. I think that's perfect for this group. They really love the heat. They love the light, and they seem to really respond. And let me show you what I mean. Just like my other Cattleyas, I've got this sort of protective fence around this that was originally intended for deer and turns out is very effective for keeping small human fingers away from my plants. But, you know, just like my other Cattleyas, I grow these guys in clay pots. I got this particular one. This is Cattleya walkeriana from my friend in New York City. And he is growing, this is Edward, Cattleya walkeriana Edward, and he's growing these under lights, and he just does an absolutely fantastic job. He's blooming walkeriana in the off season, which is basically any other time than fall, and he's doing really well. And he sent me this particular individual. He's just downsizing his collection, and it's beautifully grown. But I'm happy to say that the newest growth is much larger than the other ones. The leaves are much larger, as you can see. So this was the previous newest growth, and to be fair, this was an unbloomed large seedling, and I'm expecting this one to bloom this fall, and it'll be a really nice cerulean. I'm very excited to not only see this plant bloom, but smell it. The fragrance of Cattleya walkeriana is just absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite reasons I grow these guys, in addition to the fact that it loves the hot Texas summers and does so well. Next plant that I want to show you is not a walkeriana, but its close relative nobilior. In fact, this is the Amalii that I showed you blooming in my previous video. So what we have here is the spent bloom spike. This particular plant is a little more wobbly on the end than I like. In fact, after this video, I'm going to get a zip tie and tie this up so that when the new roots come out, the plant isn't sort of flopping all over the place and possibly killing the roots. Those roots, especially for these slow growers, is vital, absolutely important. Never want to mess with the roots. Which, as I said in my previous video, is why I just take, when this plant sort of was walking out of its old pot, it's potted in orchiata, so the media is still very good. I just simply threw it in a larger pot. And this one is starting to walk out of this pot as well. But as you can see, the new growth is giant. It's happy. It loves the conditions that it's growing in, and I expect for these guys, it's fairly common for them under my conditions to put out a new growth, sort of wrap up the new growth by you know, early to mid-August, and then throw out another set of growths, so I can get 2 distinct growing periods per summer for how I grow. And so, speaking of getting multiple growths per plant, this particular overachiever put out a new growth. This is, I should say, this is Cattleya cerulea, excuse me, Cattleya nobilior cerulea that I got from Francisco many years ago. This is number 1 by number 2. This is the newest growth. You know, it kind of started on a wonky new growth early in the year and just didn't finish. I think what this is probably a bloom spike that decided it was going to become a growth late in the cycle, and I'm not entirely sure why. So it put out this brand new growth, which is humongous. You know, after last year's growth, which is also humongous. And so this will continue to fatten up. It's as tall as it's going to get. But oh, and you can see that it's got this great new root system coming out. You know, this might be one of those plants that could use a new pot, but you can see that it's starting on its next growth. So this will be its 3rd growth for 2019, and it's sequential growth. So it is exceptionally happy. It's got a new root coming out, and it's coming back towards the pot. So I don't think I'm going to bother with repotting or sort of potting up and putting this into a larger pot. I've got several others that are similarly happy and are doing really well. It would just be redundant to show this over and over again. But I just wanted to let you know how I grow my Cattleya walkeriana and nobilior here in Central Texas. It's very similar to my other Cattleyas, just a little brighter, which I guess would mean it's a little hotter as well. Now that said, the shade of the oak trees, as you can see, does sort of hit this area by about 2 to 3 in the afternoon. So really the hottest part of the day is when suddenly we get more shade. So it's incredibly bright from basically sunrise till about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. In fact, I don't know if you can see behind me, but you'll see some leaves behind these guys. That's where I grow my certipodiums. Those guys get absolutely no shade whatsoever from sunrise until about 3 in the afternoon, and they love it. But that's a different video for a different day. See ya.